Alright, so for the solo of Ramble on Rose, Jerry solos over the chords to the verse. So let's take a look at the chords to the verse. We have 2 bars of D, 2 bars of E, 1 bar of F sharp minor, then a half a bar of G, half a bar of D, half a bar of D, half a bar of G, then 2 bars of A. Alright, so if you saw my lesson for the Catfish John solo, again, Jerry's using an envelope filter, so we have... So that sound. And again, I used it for the demo, but I'm not going to use it for the walkthrough. One, just so you can really just hear the notes and hone in on that. And second, because you don't need the envelope filter for it to sound great. It sounds great because, you know, there's strong melodies and strong phrasing. Alright, so if you saw my solo lesson on Catfish John, you'll know that Jerry was using the major scale, in that case the A major scale, to construct his melodies, and then, you know, he would use specific notes to target the chords. This solo, Ramble on Rose, varies a little bit because Jerry really, his improvisations come out of the chord shape. So we start off on a D chord, and we're up here in 10th position, and we're going to slide from the 9th to the 11th fret, so we're targeting that F sharp, that major third of a D chord. So if you see your D chord shape up here, and then around that you have the notes of the major pentatonic scale. So if you really visualize that, you'll see where these phrases come from. So for the first phrase we have... So again, that move, Jerry really likes to go from the minor third to the major third. So we have... So we're sliding from the 9th to the 11th fret of the 3rd string. Then we're playing the 10th fret of the 1st string, which is a D, the root. So that's a 6th interval. And then we have that 10th fret of the 1st string again. 12, pull off 10 on the 2nd string. Then we have on the 2nd string 10, 12, then 10, 11 on the 3rd string, then 12 on the 4th string, root. Then we're going to play the 11th fret of the 3rd string and 10th fret of the 2nd string at the same time. Alright, so then the chord moves up to E, and so this is a non-diatonic chord to the key of D major. So a common practice in jazz theory is building a dominant chord off of any scale degree, and so in this case we have, instead of an E minor chord, we have an E major chord. And the reason I bring that up is because when Jerry plays over these E chords, he treats them as dominant 7 chords. He plays the flat 7 a lot of times and, you know, mixolydian over it. So he's really treating this E chord as an E dominant 7 chord, even though the dominant 7th isn't in the harmony at all. It's just a straight E major chord. Alright, so we're moving up. We can move that chord shape up a whole step. And then again, we can use the notes from the E major pentatonic scale. And then also, I mentioned that dominant 7th, so here's the flat 7 of E, the D natural, and you'll see that is a target tone. So here's our next phrase. So we're sliding into the 13th fret, that's the major 3rd, G sharp. Then we have B, or 12th fret of the 2nd string twice. Then we're going to bend the 14th fret of the 2nd string up a half step. So that's that So that's the D, that's the flat 7 of our E chord, then 14, 12 on the second string. Alright, so now we're going to play 12, 13, 14 on the second string. So we're kind of anticipating the F sharp minor chord. So if you see F sharp minor, then 12, 14 on the first string, then we have 14, 15 on the first string. So we're anticipating that G chord. So we're playing 15th fret or G of the first string, and that's our root of our G chord. So now we're kind of anticipating that D chord. So Jerry anticipates these chords a lot. So he plays over the chord a little bit earlier than the chord actually hits. So when you hear that, the ear hears, oh, yeah, so that chord was meant to be played. So here, after we have the F sharp to G, or 14 to 15 on the first string, then we have, and then we're going to slide from 13th to 14th fret of the first string, play 14 again, then 15 of the second string. So that 13 to 14, that is our flat third to major third move. So if you think of a D triad right here, and then fill in the notes chromatically, that's what we're doing. And then we have 14 on the first string, 15 on the second string, 15, 14 on the first string. Putting all our fingers on the fret, so 14, 15, 16, 17 on the second string, and we're going to pull off. So 17, 16, 15, and then 15 to 14. Play the 14th fret again, then 16 to 14 on the third string. So there's a lot of great Jerry Garcia vocabulary in this solo, and one is right here over this A chord. So we're playing this. So if you see this A right here, and then you look at an A major triad, you can visualize that. And then we have our flat 7 here. So again, this is the 5 chord. We are treating this as a dominant chord. So Jerry's just taking these notes and kind of filling in the gaps. So we have and then the phrase sounds like this. So we start on that major third, and we pull off 14, 13, 12. Then we have 14 to 14, so second to third string. Then 13, 12 on the third string, 14th fret of the fourth string. And then we're going to start on the 14th fret of the third string, 14th fret on the fourth, and 13, 12, 11 on the fourth. So that's our C sharp, the major third of A, and then A, the root. Alright, so that's one time through that progression. So we're back to D, and again we're based out of this chord shape, and we're going to play this phrase. Alright, so if you've seen my They Love Each Other from Cornell, and then the Catfish John solo for March 1st, 1980, this falls into that that neighbor tone, so a half step below, whole step above concept. And but Jerry, each time he plays it, it's the same sort of concept, but the ideas and the melodies are so different, so that's him getting a lot of mileage out of a single concept. So here we're taking this D major triad, and we're going to play a chromatic tone below each of the chord tones. And then on the notes on the second and first string, we're also going to add a whole tone above, or a whole scale tone above. Alright, so we have 12, pull off 11 on the 4th string, back to 12, then 11th fret on the 3rd string, 10th fret on the 3rd string, then we're going to hammer back on from the 10th to the 11th fret of the 3rd string, then 10, 12, 9 on the 2nd string, then back to 10, so we have 10th fret of the 1st string, 9, back to 10, then we're going to pull off 12, 10, 9 on the 1st string, and back to 10. Again. Alright, now we move up to E. Alright, so we start with 12th fret of the 2nd string, then we're going to pull off 15, 14, 13, 12, then 13th fret of the 3rd string, then 12th fret of the 2nd string, 13th on the 3rd, 14th on the 4th string. So that's our E major triad descending, then 13, 12. So walking down to the flat 7. Then we have 14, 13, 12, 11 on the 5th string. So this looks a lot like that lick over the A chord, but instead of going to the root, which we would normally expect, once we get to the 11th fret of the 5th string, we're going to play 14th fret of the 6th string, 14th fret of the 5th string, and then 14th fret of the 4th string. So we have this. One more time. Alright, now we're going to anticipate the F sharp minor chord and play 14, 15, 16 on the 4th string. Then we have 14th fret on the 3rd string, 16 on the 4th, 14 twice on the 3rd. And that's the A, that's the flat 3rd or the minor 3rd. So we have. Alright, now we're going to anticipate the G major chord by playing the 16th, slide up to the 17th fret of the 4th string, then 16 on the 3rd string, 15 on the 1st string, and that's a G major arpeggio. Alright, so after we play that ascending G major triad, we're going to slide from the 17th and the 19th fret of the 2nd string, then play the 19th fret of the 1st string, that's B, that's the major 3rd of G. Then we have the 18th fret twice, and that's over our D chord, and then still over D, we go to the 17th fret. So that 18th fret right there, I mean, that sounds like a wrong note, and most likely it probably was. You can see it as a passing tone going down to the A, or the 17th fret of the 1st string, and it works because he resolves it. But again, when you learn a solo like this, you're not learning to play it verbatim yourself, you're learning to learn from it. So I most likely would avoid that note if I was improvising over this, and I've tried playing, instead of going to that 18th fret, just straight to the 17th, and you get something like this. And I think that sounds great, but just for the sake of playing this solo from the recording, I'm including that in there. So again, we go up to the 19th fret, then we play the 18th fret twice, and then the 17th fret twice, then 18 hammer on the 19 on the 2nd string, then 19th again, Then we have the 17th fret of the 2nd string. Then on the 3rd string we have 19, 17, 18, and then we land on the 19th fret of the 4th string, A, and that's the root of our A chord. Alright, so this bar is a half a bar of D, half a bar of G. So we're starting on 17th fret of the 1st string, which is the A, the 5th of our D chord, and then we're playing, flat 3rd to major 3rd. And then this part right here, this is an enclosure lick, anticipating the A. So it's like he skips the G chord altogether, and he works on targeting that A chord. So if you look at this A chord shape, we're starting on the 5th, then we have the 4th, flat 3rd, major 3rd, and then the root. So this is known as an enclosure. We're targeting that major 3rd, and we're doing an enclosure around it. So it's like he skips that G chord altogether and just targets the A chord. Alright, so after we do that enclosure over the A chord, we're going to play this lick using 6th intervals. So we're going to slide from the 19th to the 21st fret on the 3rd string, then play the 21st fret on the 1st string. Then we move our fingers down a fret, and we just play the 20th fret on the 1st string. So we have, then we move our fingers down one more fret, and then we play the 19th fret of the 3rd string, then the 19th fret of the 1st string. Then we move our fingers so we have our middle finger on the 18th fret of the 3rd string and our index finger on the 17th fret of the 1st string, and we play the 3rd, then the 1st string. So we have, then we play the 17th fret of the 3rd string, so we move our fingers down one fret. Then we play the 16th fret of the 1st string, and then we play the 15th fret of the 1st string. So the lick sounds like this. So it's a 6th lick using that chromatic passing tone, and then again, once we get to the A, we're going to use a chromatic passing tone down to the G. So over an A dominant chord, since this is the 5 chord, if we play the 6th interval using a B and a G, we're implying the flat 7 and the 9th over this A chord. And we're approaching that from a chromatic passing tone. Alright, and then we're going to slide from the 14th fret of the 2nd string up to the 15th fret. So that's a C sharp, sliding up to a D, and now we're on our D chord, and we're starting the progression over. So that's the root of our D, then 16th fret of the 3rd, back to 15th on the 2nd. And then we have this lick right here. Alright, so we're going to play this D major scale run, starting on the 6th string, 17th fret. So we have, so that's 17 on the 6th string, then 14, 16, 17 on the 5th string, then 14th fret on the 4th string. Then we have 15, 16 on the 4th string, so that's our flat 3rd, major 3rd over D, or you can just see it as walking chromatically from the E to the F sharp. Then 16th fret on the 3rd, 16 on the 4th, 14 on the 3rd. And that's an A right there, 5th of a D chord. Then we're going to hammer on from 15 to 16 on the 4th. Again, that's our flat 3rd to major 3rd. Then play 17 and slide that up to the 18th fret of the 4th string. So that's a G sharp, and that's the 3rd of our E chord we're now on. So if you look at this E chord shape, so after that 18th fret, we play the 16th of the 3rd, B, that's the 5th of an E chord, back to that 18th fret on the 4th, G sharp. Then we have the 17th fret of the 2nd string, that's our E. So again, that's right out of that triad shape. So then we're going to hammer on from 17 to 19 on the 2nd string, then back to 17. Then we're going to walk up from 17, 18, 19th fret on the 2nd string, anticipating that F sharp minor chord, then play the 19th fret 2 more times. Then we're going to bend that 19th fret up a half step to G. And that's the root of our G chord we're now on. Then we play 19, 17, and then a dead string. Then 15th fret of the 2nd string, 17 pull off 15 on the 2nd, and then another dead string. So we have then we have 15, 17 on the 2nd, 14 on the 1st. So that's over D. Then we have a G chord. We play 15, 14 on the 1st string, and 17, 16, 15 on the 2nd. And then that takes us to our A chord for 2 bars. And we have this. Alright, so that's 14, 15, 14 on the 2nd, 16, 14, 16, 14 on the 3rd. Then we go down to the 12th fret on the 3rd. That's our flat 7. We play 12, 14, 12. Then 11 twice, 12, 13, 14. So, starting right before the F sharp minor, we have this. Alright, now we're back at the beginning of our progression over a D chord. We're using the same chord shape as we started the solo, and we have the 12th fret of the 4th string, then 11th fret of the 3rd, 10th of the 2nd, back to the 12th fret of the 4th string, then 12, 10 on the 2nd string, 10, 11 on the 3rd, then 12 of the 4th. Then 12th fret of the 5th string, then we have 11, 10, 9 on the 5th, 10th fret on the 6th string. So that right there is similar to that shape. And then we have 6 to 7 on the 5th string. So we're approaching the root of our E chord from a half step below. Then we're playing the 9th fret of the 4th string 3 times. And that's B, that's the 5th of an E chord. So if you look at this E chord shape, so again, we're treating this as a dominant chord. So just as we did up here with the A, so that's the 9th fret of the 4th string 3 times, then 9, 7 on the 3rd, and then we have a dead string, but I think the intention was the 9th fret of the 4th string. Then 9 on the 3rd, 7 on the 2nd, 9 on the 3rd, 9 on the 2nd, then 7 on the 2nd, 7 on the 3rd, slide up to 9, and 9th on the 4th. Then we have our F sharp minor chord, and we're going to play 11th fret of the 3rd string, F sharp, 11, 10, 11. So we're playing a chromatic neighbor tone. And then 9, 10 on the 2nd string. Then the 11th fret of the 3rd string. Then 10, 12 on the 2nd. Then on the first string we have 9, then we have a dead note. I think the intention was the 10th fret of the second string, then the 10th fret of the first string. Then 12th fret of the first string, and then 12 slide up to 14, and then we play 14 again. Then we're going to pull off 14, 13, 12 on the first string, then slide from the 11th to 12th fret on that first string. Then we're going to bend the 13th fret of the second string between a quarter and a half tone bend, and then the 14th fret of the third string. So again, this is something Jerry does a lot over dominant chords. So again, it's like he skips the G chord altogether and goes straight after the A chord, and we have then 12, 11, 14 of the fourth string 2 more times. So that's walking down from the root to the flat 7 to the 6th to the 5th. Alright, and that's the solo. And quickly, going into the solo, we start over an E chord. So if you look at our E chord, and you take this 6th interval, so that's the 9th frets of the 4th and 2nd string, and then we go down a fret, and then back up, play that again, and then we move that up to the 12th fret, so we have, then over an A chord for 2 bars, we have, so when we just have this A for 2 bars leading into the D chord, sometimes Jerry or Keith or Brent or whoever it may be might add some other harmony to kind of give it some forward momentum, some forward movement. And in this case, although it's technically just an A for 2 bars, we have, which kind of implies A to G to F sharp minor to E minor. And although we just have A in the underlining harmony, either Jerry or Brent or Keith or even Bobby can just add some extra harmony just to give it some forward momentum leading into that D chord.